everybody. This is Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations. Excuse the crazy hair. And let's do some additional lighting. Helps a little bit. So I hope everybody's staying warm, and I'm on about 15 minutes early, but I'm ready to get started, and I figure everybody can watch the replay if they want to. Josie had asked if I would possibly share the quilt tops that I have that are awaiting for me to finish. So I pulled the bin that was on the bottom of the bin pile. So I've got 3 large bins and then several smaller things that we'll do last. So I figured let's do the first brown bin, which is this one here. And this is all stuff I made years ago. Hi, Janice. So we're just going to pop the lid and start going through these. I guess the best way is just pull something out at a time. This, I think, was a cake square swap. So it's just some in my quilting group that I've been a part of, and we've kind of just, some folks have passed away, and it was a small group, and we're not very active right now, but I still have several of them on my friends list on Facebook. And so there's some random smaller pieces in here, but then there was it was a cake square swap, which I believe is a 10-inch square. So this is just a stack of 10-inch squares, if I remember right. Yep. And these are theme, I think, was blues and white. So I just have a bunch of these that I can turn into a quilt. All right, so those are all the same there. And then I've got this one here, which is tone on tone with white snowflakes on a white background. And I've got like 3 of each one. So this is snowflakes, or maybe our theme was snowflakes. And this one's on a gray background. And the next one is this here. And then this is a tree. There's another one that's the white, maybe a slightly different. And these were silvers and whites and grays and that kind of thing. But these could all be used together, to create like a winter quilt. There's another that's just tone on tone white. And then this one just looks a grayscale, but it looks like snowflakes and icicle formations. And that one, I might have to close my curtain because it's kind of washing everything out. Hi, Pam. I don't know how long this is going to take, but we'll just go through and see what we got. Oh, that fixed the color too. So just really pretty fabrics. And this one's just got gray and white, but it would still work with this quilt because it's all these colors. And these must be the ones I actually swapped people for, because I don't remember ever purchasing these fabrics, but they're really pretty. That one's got some glitter to it, and so does this one. See a little bit of the glitter. And so this was just a fun swap we did, and I've got them set aside. I'm going to have trouble getting these back in their bag, I think. And I'm just sharing these fabrics with you guys. One day I'll get them made into a quilt if I start focusing on them and just get them done. So I just got some random things that were parts of swaps. Okay, hi, Sophia. So we'll just put those back in the bag, and they were folded, so I'm just going to fold them again and slide them back in here. All right. All right, these next ones would be worth holding out and at least put them together in February. We did a bunch of different swaps and things. This goes with that. Okay. And we did a heart swap, and these are all different sizes of quilt blocks, but they could be put together as a sampler quilt where I would have to add some white and red and pink kind of squares to make up blocks that are kind of the uniform shape. You'll see what I mean, because we got all different shapes here. So I'm just going to go through these. This one I would want to put in the quilt this way, so I'd have to add some triangles to make this a square in this direction, because I'd want the heart to be right side up. But there's that heart, and I don't think everybody signed their quilts or put a tag on it, so that one's just an applique on. Now this one was signed on the front of the block. Happy Valentine's Day, 2008. I don't recognize the name on here. So I think this was sent to me by Ann Lewis, who has since passed away. She died of cancer several years ago. And she said that she didn't think she'd ever get the hearts put together. So she sent them to me in the hopes that I would put them together. So this might be somebody in her local quilt group, but I'm going to use it because it's hearts, and how sweet that it'll have a signature. I have no idea who it is. So I'm just going to go through these. This one's a fun heart one, where the hearts all point toward the center. All different kinds of hearts. I might set this one aside and at least get it put together. Here's another one that's been signed right on the front. Happy Valentine's Day. It says Gray Grammy from 2008. So she signed her blocks, whoever that is. I don't recognize that name as being part of our online group. Another of the applique hearts in the center of a white one. Here's another group of hearts that way. This one's written all over. Happy Valentine's Day. Seasons keep coming and going while our friendship keeps growing and growing, is the little saying that she wrote on that one. I have a feeling that was from the Gray Grammy as well. I could take the ones that are, written on with signature and all of that and just make a table runner with it if I wanted to. So here's this one. And then there's another one, and it's signed, and this one's signed that it was 2008, and it was done by Carolyn. So she probably did both of those since this fabric is the same. There's that one. And we got another bandana heart. Now this is one I designed myself. I designed it myself. It took forever to put it together because you sew it in components. So I designed the love block and sewed it together, and you can see all the different pieces that go into making something like this. So there's that. Then we got a few smaller hearts. There's that one. And from the looks of the fabric, these are ones I put together myself because it's the same fabrics. So this is kind of like one that would go down the long side of a bigger block. And then I've got some tiny little guys that would be great little cornerstones to fill in. And again, I could turn these into square blocks so the heart is right side up just by putting some squares on it to make it square. This is a heart block. This one's a really cool heart block because it's dimensional. It's got fringe on it. And then I have a great big heart. So those are the Valentine ones that were in here. And I'm going to probably not put them back in the basket. All right. Then, like I said, we did a lot of swaps. These look like 2-inch blocks. I'm not going to go through them. This is just to have set aside to make a scrappy block. But we would swap like 6 different little 2.5-inch blocks and send them to each other for a scrappy project of whatever. So that's what those are. And let's see, we've got just some other, this is just some scraps. These are, I think, these are, 4.5-inch blocks. And I think I swapped for these, or I could have cut them. I don't know. It's been a while. But when I get like Project Dress-A-Girl fabric, I have a bunch of scraps. I could go through and trim out different sized blocks, like maybe do some 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4, and just have little squares like this ready to go. I've done that before. And these were a swap, and I can't remember the name of this block. Hi, Carol. Hi, Teresa. I can't remember this block. Really easy to do. You do 3 2.5-inch squares together, so a light and 2 darks, and then you take that same dark and you have a 6 by 2.5-inch at the top and the bottom. So I have a bunch of these that we swapped for, and I think we would make either 1 for each participant, or we'd make 2 for each participant. This looks almost like a single block per participant. And that way, when you get them, you can put them together and it makes a scrappy quilt with all the fabrics from your friends. And this one, I can tell you right now, this block was like that. Oh, they're all like that. Hang on. Okay. So this block has the light center and the dark, and this is the reverse of it. So we did a dark outer edge and a light outer edge. So they would go together, and that's what this stack is. That was the swap. So you'd have some with light centers and some with dark centers. I'd forgotten about this swap, but you know, that other was dated 2008, 2009. So that tells you how long I've been toting these around. But I thought Josie had put in that she was interested in, I don't see this one's match. So I don't know what happened to that one's match. And so here's this one and this one. And you can see the difference when you change what fabric is where. And you can make some interesting blocks up really quick. And you could use your scraps to make these. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So those are there. Callie is not happy. Now these, they've not even been worked up, but I got them at Joann's. And it's dated fiscal year the 28th of 2010. So I got these in 2010. And these are the Quilt Block of the Month blocks that had gone clearance. So I paid $3.97 for these. And it was the Lavender Mist collection. So I have this block, which is block 12. And I have another block 12. And I have a block 10, which is got 9 patches in the corner. Block 9 is an applique. And then, you know, I'm missing some. I got block 6. Here's 7. And block 8. and block 5 and another of the 11. So there's 5, 7, 6, 5, 9, 10, 11. Oh, no, 11. That's a different applique block. So I've got 2 of 12 and then 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. But that would still make a decent sized quilt. The blocks are 16.5 inches square. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9. So I could do a 3 by 3. So it would be 16.5. Well, 16 times 3 in each direction. And that would make a nice sized quilt. And yeah, they're big blocks. 16.5 is huge. All right, this one. I think all this goes together. This is one of those where I was planning, and I've got my plans are in here with this. So the quilt, it's all written up. But this was a swap where we did yellow and blue. So very French provincial, I guess. So these are all yellow and blue. Yes, my treasure boxes are fun. And I'm just going to share the blocks that I swapped for. I think this is the one I made for the block swap because I remember both of those fabrics. Isn't it funny how some things will stick in your head? Now, these blocks have not been squared. Before I sew these together, I will press them really well, and I'll make sure they're dead square before I start hooking them together so they're all the same size. And for a while, we were signing on the backs of the blocks or adding a piece of paper. And I do have some, duplicates. And that's okay. Some of these go really wild. Wait till you see the next one. Woohoo! Chili peppers. Some of the fabrics feel like they've been pre-washed, and some of them feel like they still have sizing. The bad part about different quilters, if everybody doesn't pre-wash the fabric, and then you make the quilt blocks and you do the quilting, and when you throw it in, if you haven't pre-washed the fabric, if you have even one person that hasn't pre-washed, that block could shrink up more than the ones that had been. That's a pretty block. But some people believe in pre-washing and other people don't. Here's another, I think this is a duplicate, I think. But I thought this would be a beautiful yellow and blue quilt. I don't know what I'll do with all these quilts. If I ever get them made into actual quilts, it would be nice. There are a ton of blocks here. It just feels like a ton, and they're big. These are over 12 inches, I think. This one, people must not have had enough of that main yellow fabric, so they just mixed the yellows, which looks interesting. All right, and then I have this yellow fabric was going to be a border. I have this blue to include with it, and then I had this to kind of tie those all together. And I'm going to put my instructions back with it. Let's see. This one is not all together yet. I still have I don't want to separate these because they are pinned together in the order they need to go. So I'm just going to pick up one pile and show you what the pile would look like. I think it's this way. So these would go a certain way, and I'll pick up the quilt that's already started. I don't want to disturb this pile though, because it'll mess me up even worse. But you hook those together and then you attach them in one row. So those are actually put together on the angle, and then you add them on. And so this is going to be a huge quilt. So the piecing is at an angle, but then it's done in rows, and then you put them together and you get this sort of thing. I think this was going to be a king size quilt, but it's a real beauty. It's something to work on because you need a lot of floor space. So there's half of it. And I was using this green. I hope I've got that green still for the edge. Do I have some more of that green? I'm not seeing any. That's worrying me. I don't know what happened to that green. I might have to find some other way to use those. So that's another quilt there. All right. We've barely made a dent in this. All right. This was just a quilt I threw together thinking I could make it and just have it ready to go, I think. But it's just creams and whites. This would be a good baby blanket, a baby quilt, or a toddler's quilt. I can't even get it all on, really. You could use it as a table topper, just a little accent on a table. So there's that one. Oh, I've got some strips here. Row 1, right press. So I'm not sure what's going on with these. Whoops, sorry, Howard. Sorry, Howie. Let's see. This is another one that I pieced together thinking it could be a quick, there we go. I don't think it's really even finished. This would be more of a, I don't know, it's long and narrow, but it's pieced together. So I'm not sure what the plan was, but it's pretty. Hi, Helen. Sorry, cat coming through. He wants to lay in the sunshine. Move, Howard. Go that way. Move your butt. Come on. Go ahead and get in the sunshine. You wanted it so bad. That's another one that's a puzzle because it's thin. Let's see. I'm going to sit down for this one because it's like there's a chunk of fabric there. These, I started to do quilt as you go, but there's a whole stack of these blocks that either Scott's great aunt or Scott's grandmother had done. And they're just the same. They're all the same of this ship. And there's enough here to make several quilts. And I had started putting these together as a quilt as you go. So this is like layered up. And I even started trying to quilt on this a little bit. You can see there's some stitching. I'll take that out. Yeah, I could. So this is what it was going to look like. And I've got, let's see, this one I've stitched around, but I don't really care for that. So I'm probably going to pull it apart. I did this before I actually got into quilting. And then I've got all this red fabric, you know, for backing and stuff. So there's that. That's what that is. All right. Whew, I'm getting covered in thread. Let's see. We've got just some dark blue and some red pieces set in here. And I think that's for something else. I think those are to go with these stars. So we've got a whole stack of star blocks that was also another swap. So red, white, and blue. Very Americana. They're pretty, it's all the same pattern, but you get to see what the different fabrics are. All right, so there was stars, but we're still in the red, white, and blue. And this one's called Rail Fence. That one I remember the name of it. So I could do some smaller quilts and do like all the rail fence blocks together, and then do one that's all the stars together, and just make smaller quilts, you know, for like on a porch swing or whatever. Well, this is fun revisiting. Okay, now that was the rail fences. Let me pull the rail fences off from here because we have more stars. I have a bunch from this same lady, and she used all that same fabric. These are, well, these look the same, but they might not be. I don't know how I ended up with so many star blocks. We must have done star blocks a couple times or something. I don't know. I've got a bunch of these. Having the curtain for Howard is messing up the camera. Sorry about that. I've got some applique blocks coming up. Okay, now we're back to rail fences. These might have been put together to do like a row of rail fences and a row of stars, but I'm going to separate the rail fences from the stars now. These would be great to donate to a veterans project. I wonder if Leanne would like these. I'll have to contact her and see if she would like to utilize these. Because I have a bunch of these. All right, so there's all those rail fences, and now we're back to the stars. So yeah, I might contact her and see if these are something that she could utilize. See, that's just not showing up the right colors. They are red, white, and blue, kind of a darker. Got a lot with this floral in the background, but that's all right. And then somebody went really rogue. This is not red, white, and blue. This is purples and pinks, but it's a star. And the last star. So woohoo! There you go. There's the patriotic ones in the box. All right. Let's see here. These are some applique blocks that we did. I don't know if they're, yeah, well, they're pieced and appliqued. I don't remember the theme, but this has got a lovely umbrella on it. And this one, maybe this was summertime was our theme, because this is a sailboat. And somebody else did watermelon slice. And some flowers. This could have been springtime or summer. I don't know. And then this beautiful butterfly. I would like to take this and add fabric around it and have it on the back of a coat. Wouldn't that be pretty on a coat? So these might not end up in quilt projects after all. All right, this one's got a note. Winter blocks. Oh, that's got her address on it. I don't remember that group, but I'll show you her block. I folded her address up. So she did that one. And then we switched to winter blocks, but some of them, they give off a Christmas feel. And I don't think we had a certain block that we did. I think everybody just chose a block and made it wintry. This one looks more autumnal, but it, you know, it's got some pretty deer in the middle. That one's called something, deck of cards. I can't remember. Yep, new project ideas. Here's some more with snowmen. And, you know, I think also when I'm going through this, especially the applique blocks, I think about Anne Lewis, and her abilities to applique were so amazing. And that talent is just gone. She's passed on now. But I'm pretty sure this was Anne's. But again, it goes back to sign your work, because somebody will look at it like, what, how many years from 2008, 2009? Look at this one. That's applique, y'all. See, she did it on machine, but it's still gorgeous. All right. This bin goes on and on and on. All right, now we got some autumnal blocks. And I believe I did these. So there's that one and that one. Autumn leaves. Maple leaves. And then I swapped and other people sent me leaves. And this has to be Anne's, because of the applique. And I don't know who did that one, but isn't it gorgeous? Look at that. So pretty. And then a pumpkin. So gorgeous. We still have about a third of this bin, so I hope y'all are still with me. This one, I actually have fabrics set aside for bindings and borders and backing here. So these were all blocks that I think I was putting together, or I don't know. Or maybe I don't remember how we did this swap, but this was a fun block to do. Lots of squares though. Some of these blocks take a long time to do. They're not quick. There's another one like that. But I did save the fabric. I think what we did is we sent each person in the group a fat quarter of our fabric, and they sent back a block made with our fabrics, and that's how we ended up. So I have the extra fabric for the rest of my tops. Here's another one. And this will just be a pretty quilt because it's all the same fabric, but other people made some of the blocks, so I didn't make all of the blocks. Now, these two are different fabrics. And this one's a different fabric, yeah. But that's a beautiful block. So that's basically a project right there. All right. Let's see. We did a black and white block swap, which is fun to do. And then you can add like a pop of red or a pop of turquoise. That always looks good with black and white. So I'll just show you these blocks. I think this one's called Churn Dash, maybe, or something spinner. All of these block patterns are on the Quilters Cache website, and she has the tutorials or the how to do all these blocks. She's got thousands of block patterns in all different sizes. So if you wanted to jump off into quilting and learn a block or two, you could go over there to Quilters Cache. It's a wonderful site to get blocks to do. There's not a ton of these, but they're big blocks, so it wouldn't take much to turn this into a quilt. I could turn that into a baby quilt easy. Easy peasy. Let's see here. These are one of those, these are like purchase panels that I have thrown in here. You remember these 1980s calling? Yes, our quilt group was very talented. My friend Diane, she's still a long arm quilter up in Maine. On this panel with the horses. The pillow panels, you know, I could make up and have around, or I could just make them as pillow covers and throw them in my gifting bins, and then somebody could put them as, you know, covers on something on their couch. All right, now we're getting into the big guys, the big blocks. You thought those were big blocks. Hold up. Hold that thought. All right. Y'all remember the cake squares from the beginning, right? You can take the cake squares and make really, really big blocks. Ready? I don't have a way to measure these. Let's see. These are probably about 15 inches square. And, uh-oh, I was frozen there for a minute. Let's pull this out. I keep finding bits from the Bits and Bobs binder. It's like Mary Poppins' bag. Yes, it is like Mary Poppins' bag. This one is definitely. And these are nothing but the larger squares put together in 4-patch. So I could put, you know, 4 of these blocks together and have a small baby quilt. And it would just be big blocks. I could actually applique on top of them. It's fun seeing the old fabrics too. The fabrics that, you know, you're never going to get again. I figured today would be a good day to do one of these tubs. And remember, I have 2 more big tubs like this in the back, plus other bins and bags that aren't in a big tote. See, that's what I could do with the bin that's got the cotton in it right now, the cotton yarn. I could use it for the quilting stuff that's in other random just baskets and things that aren't in bins. I should make these up into something. I think these, I don't know. These are all just really big blocks. Let's see. These are, the individual squares are 8 inches square. So the 16 inches, about 16 inches. I like this one because it's got the celestial stuff in it. But you could turn these into an I Spy quilt. So if you had like blocks with different things on it, just cut some of these squares and then just turn them into a quilt, and then you could play I Spy with a little one. These could sew together and go to a nursing home or whatever. This one's got some angels on it. I hope my computer's not messing up. It froze yesterday. I just want to get through this bin. The bin of stuff. This has got the year 2000 fabric. Remember when everybody was freaking out about the year 2000? That one's got some 2000 fabric in it. You won't find that around unless it's in a closeout. Somebody bought a bunch of it in 2000. Love this fabric right here. Do you want to see all of these? Because it goes on and on. Let's see if I can go a little faster. It's hard to go fast and then get them to lay flat in my piles. Oh, that's got a beautiful bald eagle. Let's get him right side up. There we go. Some of these are not 100% cotton. I can tell it's got that kind of glossy, plasticky feel to it that a poly cotton blend has. Dolphins are cute. This one's just fun. There's a lot of that rose pattern in here. I keep seeing that rose pop up. But these were all done with 8-inch squares. I think what I'll do with these is I'm going to go through them and put them together kind of by the colors that go together, like the more earthy greens, put them all together. The loud and vibrant things, put them all together. I might do that before I put them away again. Because I do have some beautiful vibrant ones. This one's really vibrant. I sense we've gone into greens. Maybe that's what we had done. Maybe we had done an 8-inch greens blocks and 8-inch blue blocks. And that's how we ended up with these as our block swaps. We're almost to the end of this here. Because you have 4 of these put together and then put border on it and then a backing, and bam, you'd have little quilts. We're in the kind of lemon lime and very bright colors. Oh, this one kills me. Look at these frogs. And the last one in that stack is that one. All right. What's next? I don't know. Let's see. Oh my gosh. This is like just blocks and blocks. These are 4 patches. Simple 4 patch. I've got several of those. a lot of the same fabrics. This might be something I had started because it's all the same fabrics for a black and white again with pop of gold. Let's see here. We've got some orphan blocks. This one's supposed to be like nosegay or a bouquet of flowers. I love this one. This one, what is this one called? I can't remember, but I love to do this one. And it's all in how you set up the lights and darks. This one could almost go in with the other yellow and blue ones, but it's so much bigger. I'm not sure which way that one's supposed to go. Maybe this way? I don't know. This one's pretty. Ta-da! Y'all have Josie to thank for this. I'm just sharing what was in this trunk. I have two. Applique can be added to most anything. Look at this wild thing. Woo! This one about do your head in. Look at those fabrics. Woo! Reminds me of old men's ties. So there's those. I've got this next stack looks like more orphan blocks because there's a tiny 4-patch. There's a random square, very random. These are all just random. Probably something I just kind of threw together to use up some scraps. Because they're all different. Yeah, these could be made into coasters, couldn't they? That one's one of those where you do the reverse of it that we had earlier. It's a 4x4, but it looks like it was done. I don't know. I've slept since these were made. So this one, I think it's called Churn and Dash. This is a windmill. And this looks like it's got some polyester, like somebody reused a sheet. And then some more, just the pieced. So when I cut the little 2.5-inch squares, you can make something like this with those. And then when you put one with another, you end up with a very scrappy quilt. Or you could do like this and take one of those and then add triangles of the same blocks on the corners. And you end up with a block like that. So these are the little orphans that can be added to another quilt, you know. All of this, and we still have more. Okay. Now these are, oh, I can't remember the name of this, but it's like the tees together. So this would be great for St. Patrick's Day because these are all in greens and they're all the same block pattern. And there's 4 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could make a St. Patrick's Day table topper, which is just a small square quilt you put in the center of your table. All right. And then there's another couple orphan blocks. So there's that one. I think we're down to just the little orphans. The blocks that were made up from residue. Let's see here. There's a cat block. A bunch of cats. And this is a cat. Look, there's a cat. All right. I think these are more orphans. Oh my goodness. I tell you what. I'm just going to grab what's left in here because I'm running out of room. We'll set these aside because I think most everything that's left is small and orphaned blocks. We'll put the orphans in the bottom. Sorry, little orphans. Leave that out. Give me just a sec. I guess I could do this later. We'll put the orphans in the bottom. That's actually a project. All right, I'm going to leave the rest of that there. And I'm just going to start putting these back in the bin. It's not really a full-on tablecloth because it will only cover like a portion of a table unless it's a small table. They actually just call them table toppers. Well, maybe I'll put that up here and then I'll set them down in there. Y'all are going to laugh at this one. Look. He's got loose ears. See, his ears are loose. So that's Easter. So I guess these orphans were Easter. I ought to hold the cat blocks out. Here's a block somebody did for me. It's a cat and the ears are loose. I'll go back through these again one day. Yeah, this is all cat themed here. There's another cat. Put your ear back up. All right. Orphan, but pretty. I got several little orphans like that could be put together for a, random small quilt. I need to just go through and put things that are kind of alike together and see if I can't just do some random scrappy quilts. Or even just turn them into tote bags or something that's usable, that don't take me as long. Some ladybug. She needs her spots, though, don't she? Have to add her some spots. Okay. And we've got little 4 patches. That one. That one. You wouldn't think this much stuff was in that tub, but I knew it was going to be a lot because that sucker was heavy. Bringing it down the hallway with something else. The cats were freaking out. What are you doing bringing one of those back out of the back? I'm going to put a piece of the green frog tape on this bin to know that we've already been through this one. Oh, all right. Then we've got, we did a theme swap. So I asked for cat fabrics. So I could actually pull some of these are all cat fabrics, little cat squares. I could pull some of these for my current project of the slow stitch mat that I'm doing, because this has got some different cats in it. I might hold these out for that project. I'll just show you a few of these because there's so many of them. I'm not gonna, some little cats there. Yeah. And then let's see, we'll leave those there. And then I've got like somebody, I got this somewhere from someone. It's enough to do a border if I wanted to. So I'll leave all this cat fabric here. And it looks like these are all cat fabric strips as well. Yeah. I'm not going to leave the strips out though. I'll put them back in there. All right, so I'll leave those in there. More orphan blocks. Some more rail fences, but larger. And there's a rail fence. And then we've got some smaller blocks mixed in here. See, I have a bunch of this version of block. I need to put those all together, but I'm not going to do it today. Got some more maple leaves because we did a maple leaf swap. So I could do a whole quilt with the maple leaves. And then let's see. Some more. This is a cat block. These were 9 patches. You got to watch when you're putting your pieces together if you've got some things that are directional. That one's just a scrappy 9 patch. This is where our design wall comes in handy. And you can just plop these up on it. Got some of these, which are more orphans. And there's the square in a square. And you cut it in half. And then sew the opposites on. And that's how you get these blocks. So there's that one. And those 2. And then I got 2 more like that. Put these back in the bin. And then we've got a stack here of that black and gold and gray going on. 4 patches. So we got that 4 patch. I've got a bunch with this on it. So the same fabrics. This must be something I was doing. This would make a good baby girl quilt. It's all pinks and purples. I just need to, like I said, this year needs to be about using this stuff up and making it on into something usable for someone. You know, there's no point in it just sitting in my back room. I might pull the red, white, and blue stuff together, though, and see if there's somebody locally that could turn them into quilts in Valor. And that would get them out of my space and put to use. And they're always looking for donations from what I understand. So there's that. All right. This is something I think was going to be a table runner, but you make this block, and then when you attach it to the next block, it forms a ring in a ring, which is really cool looking. I kind of wish the dark block was in the middle. I might switch these 2 around. I could take this one off and just add it on this end, and then that would make a really cool table runner really quick. Sorry, my nose is itching. These are just random orphan blocks. Somebody did some awesome work in this one with all those curved seams. Oh, wish they'd signed them. This must have been a very pinky swap. Somebody must have said, we need to do a peach and pink swap, because these could all go together. They kind of, let's see, the cats will be eyeing the piles to use as beds. I won't leave it out too much longer. Yeah, this was pastels, I think, because this one was very much pastels. This one's beautiful. Here's an applique. Scott put that red paper down to protect our new floors, and the cats have about pulled it all up. He's not going to be happy when he gets home. It's like, I can't watch them all the time. They're in there playing. They're having fun. He said, you spoil them. They're rotten. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So these pastel-y ones would make a great baby quilt. All right. Back in the box with you. I've got just some segments If you sew these together, you end up with a 9 patch, but you want a light center on either side. So you'd have that one and one more like that. And you could even flip this one. And then in the middle, you'd want one that's got something a little darker in the middle. This is not really enough variance, but it give you the idea. And then wham, you got a 9 patch. But these are like orphaned segments. All the little orphans. Oh, the poor little orphans. Got some half square triangle blocks, just various. And these are all in autumnal colors. And then I've got these little ones. That one. And I don't know what that is. Look, these are clipped together. Isn't that cute? So apparently I was going to do something with these. And these are all 9 patches. And I got 1 bundle, 2 bundles, 3 bundles. And each one has, I don't know, a dozen squares. So maybe I was thinking I would sew these into rows and then put them together and bam, have a quilt that's real scrappy. I don't know. Back in the box with you. This is something I picked up when we were on our back roads trip one time. It was in some little strange shop off the side of the road and I just couldn't resist it. That is so cute. And then we have just a random block. And then, let's see. These here, I don't know about y'all, but my arms are getting tired. These are all 9 patches, but they're in autumn themed. 9 patches. So I got that one. And they're all scrappy. So that blue's not really autumnal, but hey, it's what got put in that block. I don't know if I put these together or if it was a group effort. I kind of think I did this all by myself from squares we had swapped for. So you get the idea. I don't know if you want to see all of them or not, but they're all that same kind of color family, put it that way. Okay. All right, now let's do some groovy things. Oops. Nope, that is all 1 block. This is one that you piece it on a piece of muslin, so it's real dense, but all the edges are inside. So there's that, and then we've got just, this is random as all get out. I don't know. I don't know where these came about or how they came about, but woohoo, they're colorful. Yeah, they're just like all over the place. Very scrappy. This one even has a horse on it with its head cut off. I don't know. We were on a roll that time, I guess. So you got hourglasses along the outside and then 4 patch in the middle. Those would be real easy to just sew together. You could put sashing on the edges, or you could do it right next to each other. So you take and you put one on top or next to the next, like so. That would be a personal preference. This could definitely be an I Spy quilt because it's got all kinds of things hidden out. Look at the little kitty faces. Where are they? Where'd they go? There they are. These are definitely random. They definitely need to be squared really bad. Pressed well and then squared up. All right. All right. These were, that needs to be pressed over. These almost look like they were pieced, like this one. See, there's the piece of muslin. And then I would square this off and cut all the stuff sticking off so it would come down to this size. And then it looks like I cut it in half. And then you take these and you maneuver them so when they're pieced together, they form a diamond. And you put two more, but going the other ways. That's what these are for. So that's another project I started because that one still needs to be trimmed, and that one, I don't know what my plan was. Have no idea. But once they're trimmed to square, then I cut them into smaller squares and then form them into a diamond pattern. These are some, let's see, got some more cat fabrics. I'm not going to go through all of these. These are all cat fabrics. Squares of cat fabrics. Just different fabrics. Oh, I might have to put some of that in my little thing I'm working on right now. But all different cat fabrics. Look at that one. Isn't it groovy? I'm going to leave the cat fabrics on top in case I need more for my current project. But that's what all this stuff is. All these pieces. All right. Then I've got, this is a table topper that I pieced, but I never got finished. And you could put this in the center of your table with one of those 3-wick candles on a glass dish, maybe some flowers. Just have this down. So this is actually a project that just needs to be quilted. Let's see. Just put that in here. Let's see, what do we got here? I think this is an autumnal, same situation. A little table topper, table runner. Started, never finished. You're sitting in the balcony. Awesome. Getting her nails done. I gave up on my nails a long time ago. There's another piece section. I got to get all this back in this tub, you guys. All right, here's this is in batiks. It's just a square to do as a table topper. And this is basically a baby quilt that was done in the Jelly Roll Race style, because it's just 2.5 strips where you sew them all one to the end, to the end, to the end. So you sew the strip, this strip to this strip, and so on. And then you take the two ends and you start sewing down. And when you get to the end of where they meet, you cut that in half and then sew those two strips to those two strips. And then it builds across and you end up with something like this. And I could add a border to this and turn this into a quick baby quilt. So easy. And that might be what those other things were for. I think these strips are for this quilt, because I was going to do a square blocky edge on this. So that's what these are for. So I'll put those back together. And I want to keep the cat fabrics out. This, I think these are just more like 5-inch. These are called nickels when they're like 5 inches square. And this is some that look winter themed. And yeah, these are all winter except for these last few that are random. These are nickels with a winter theme. And yeah, I need to go through here and pull all the stars out. This is more things that could be sent for somebody to turn into a Quilts of Valor project. I've got all kinds of things like this. It probably cost me a fortune to mail it somewhere, but we'll see. I might see if there's a local group that's doing Quilts of Valor. There we go. So we'll put those back in there. And this was just something I picked up at the thrift store for $5. And it has a portion of a jelly roll. It had some more strips here. And then it just I couldn't resist this for $5. And it's just already made blocks that I got for $5. And I just love batiks anyway. And somebody else did all the piecing work. I'm sure this was a kit. So that was all of that. So those were that size, but then there's some bigger blocks in here. These are slightly bigger, I think. No, they're the same size. Never mind. They look bigger. Might be a visual thing. So that is what is in this tote. That all came out of this one tote. And I've been on here for a while. Nearly an hour. Just on one tote. So I don't know if you guys want to see the rest of the totes other times or not, but we might do a tote a month until I get them shared. And then I won't bother you with my quilts again. But see why I couldn't pass this up for $5? I swear some of these are smaller than the others, but it was just such beautiful fabrics. And then to have that jelly roll in there too, I can use it for sashing if I want to. There's something that's got a thread loose. I'm going to put these back in here so I'll remember these. This is the quilt I got for $5. And see, just that jelly roll has a price tag of $9.99 on it. And this was all in this bag for $4.99. So it had to come home with me. It had to. It just had to. All right. So y'all want to see if I can put it all back? Gonna leave the cat fabrics right there. Let's see. These are mystery blocks, orphans, poor little orphans. The project that was started as Scott's grandmother or great aunt. That needs to go back in there. All right. Because I definitely don't want the cats all over them. I should just put things that would go together really well. And I should have saved those other stars out. I can always go back through here at another time. Bam. Bam. All right. These are the heart quilts. I'm going to leave them on top. I might actually get them sewn together. There's a little cat scrap. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's see. Carol says, I've been cleaning up, getting ready for my stream later while watching. Awesome. What time are you coming on, Carol? Because I'm fixing to wrap up and let you guys go. I have been cutting out more of the, I started last night. I was cutting out the Insel Bright into those octagons, and I've got this much of the batting cut out. I need to cut out. And then I got some cats matched up with a piece of the fusible web that I've cut at that size octagon. So I've got this many more. I need to count how many I've got here because I need to go shop my stash for some more red fabrics. I'm trying to use a different cat print or cat fabric on each one of these, and then a different red background on each one of these. And I think you guys have already seen these. These will get sewn together into a mat, but these are all hand sewn. So this is my current project for slow stitching. And I'm doing this with Create and Craft with Christine. And I've shared these, so I think this is everybody's favorite because I did a little embroidery on his hat. And yeah, so I sew those up, and then when I'm only doing mine 28 of these together. Christine's doing like a whole year, one a week for the whole year. So 52 of these. That would just make a huge mat for me. I don't need one that big. So that's what I'm doing there. I need to find out how many I have all ready to go, and that'll tell me how many more cat fabrics I need, because I've got 6 done, and then there are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got 15, and I'm doing 28. That's 13 more I need. Is that right? So I'll count out 13. Hi, Joyce. You missed it. I'm wrapping up. So thank you guys for bearing with me going through that bin. And I will do the other 2 bins plus whatever. But we'll do them like once a month because it is kind of tiring to pull this stuff out and then put it back in. But that was fun. I enjoyed seeing the old projects. I have a plan for the Americana type stuff to go to Quilts of Valor. I'm going to look it up real quick and see if there's a group that I can like drive and gift them to somebody locally. Certainly there's a group here that's doing it, but we'll see. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care. I'm off now to get another cup of tea. Bye.